So, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, or in the future if you're listening to this as a recorded space. What we typically do is when we do these spaces, we'll record it on X, so you can come listen to it here, or you can go over to the Satori YouTube page, and it'll be posted there in the future. But thank you to everybody. Thank you to the speakers taking their time out of the weekend to come and some talk some AI and crypto. Thank you to all the listeners for hopping in. And I know it's a Saturday, so everybody's a little busy. So obviously, if you can't make it in person right now, don't worry about it. We'll catch up. It's been about a month since the last space, and we wanted to do this, focus this space more of like a free chat, and talk about some hot topics across AI and crypto space. Like obviously, there's a lot of new things going on in the world, and every day you open up and some kind of development in AI or something in the crypto space right now is popping up every day. Is something new. So we kind of just wanted to do a free chat. In the past, we had a more focused talk, but we'll have some topics that we're going to go over today. But this is more of a free chat, and if anybody's out there listening and wants to pop up, feel free, raise your hand, and we can add you as a speaker as we go through this thing. Um, Today, so some of the topics that we did kind of at least like put as the main headers is the future of AI, where crypto is headed, AI and crypto, why it matters, the next wave of technology in this space, and digital economies and innovation. So today, joining me for the to co-host is Will QSL, and he's a Satori team project member. We have a few speakers today that we have lined up. We've got Jordan, who's the founder of the Satori project, Hans, who's the Evrmore chain founder and creator. We've got Chris, an admin over at the Safe Trade Exchange, and we've got StefGva, who's the C64 chain founder and creator. So before we get started on the space, we can just do a quick round the room. Just tell us who you are, a little about you, and about the project or exchange that you're affiliated with. So I'm going to throw it over to Will if you just want to do a quick opening, and then we'll just go around the room.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I just take over from the Satori team and doing all kind of stuff on the Satori, like most important, like community X and starting programming there. Do the AI and the crypto stuff, and yeah, yeah, that's the base thing what I'm doing. Like Jordan.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. I started this Satori project and we're going strong. Everything's really good. So my interest in AI has always been, well, I've just always had an interest in intelligence itself, and I'm interested in how it's being developed and manifests in computers, through AI. So I'm excited for this space.
Cool. Thank you, Hans. Nope, I'm not. Hans, you there? There you are.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, so my name is Hans Schmidt, and a few years back, I started the Evrmore project. For those of you that are not familiar, it's basically a code and chain fork of Ravencoin, and it's really, as far as I can tell, the best um, way to do assets as a direct derivative of the Bitcoin philosophy in the sense that it's UTXO based. And uses very easy to understand human readable names, and it's got a lot of features which I think we're just now starting to use. I'm interested in exploring the space and building software. We're still looking for members to help add utilities and applications. So just and applications like Satori, I think, are really important. And so I'm interested in supporting the Satori efforts as much as possible going forward. And we'll see where this takes us.
Cool. I appreciate it. All right. C64 chain. Do I pronounce it Steph? Is that the best? Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes, yes. Hi,
All
good
right.
afternoon. My name is it's Stefan. I'm Swiss. I speak French, so sorry for my English level. Um, I have 30 plus years in IT industry, ex-banking IT director, and now I'm a solo crypto dev. I run, as you said, the 64 chain. And I also do a lot of decentralized artificial intelligence and home lab stuff at home. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you hopping in, and I actually did a little digging, and we can talk about what you're building. It's your project's really interesting. So I took some
Okay.
time yesterday to look into it. It's cool. All right, and Chris, if you want to hop up.
Sure. You know me from Safe Trade. I've been part of Safe Trade and the ecosystem that they're kind of building for about 6 years. I've been involved with crypto since about 2018. Pretty interested in AI. Been through the exchange. I've seen all the trends come and go over the past couple of years through every wave. So what AI is bringing to crypto is both exciting and scary. So it'll be good to talk about it.
Yep, and that'll actually lead us right into kind of our first topic that we had kind of set aside is the future of AI. Where you all see it. Obviously, we can kind of talk about where it is today and where you all see it moving forward. Obviously, a lot of the hot topics right now is just like the rise of just generative AI beyond just the chat. So like talking like agents, automation, co-pilots. I mean, you see it all the time. Every single company is starting to integrate AI. If they haven't already, they're at least looking into it. Also, a few other topics we can kind of cover and we can kind of bounce around the room is just a lot of talks of like the like open source AI versus closed ecosystems. um, Obviously, there's a lot of talk about AI replacing and augmenting current jobs. Like every day, we're starting to see jobs affected in the mainstream media. I think the one of the last ones was Oracle. I know Microsoft has been doing a lot of layoffs, and it's interesting to see like people. I think it was Amazon that is training or basically set up an AI to record, or Facebook, I think it was Meta, that's recording everybody's like the employees' actual like click actions to better train their own AI, which is really wild. You're basically training yourself to get replaced. Some other hot topics, like obviously the regulation, global competition, is a hot topic. Like the U.S. versus China versus the EU, and everybody has different regulations, and some much more open than others. And there's a lot of things that a lot of topics that are recently coming up. Like we had, I was in the gym yesterday, just watching the news about I think it was the family suing ChatGPT for the one case that somebody was looking up how to like whether the those shells that he had would actually work in the shotgun or rifle that he had. And they're trying to sue ChatGPT for providing the answers that ultimately led to a shooting. um, so there's that, and then there's also obviously the infrastructure race, like whether you're talking chips, data centers. I know in my area, that's a local hot topic, is a lot of data centers or projects trying to take over farmland, and a lot of communities are really starting to push back against it because it takes a lot of space and obviously resources to be able to drive the necessary power um, to actually install and utilize these AI centers. And obviously, like Microsoft is a big proponent of that. Like I think there's one, I know one in one nuclear plant in Pennsylvania that is actually in the works of standing back up. That was shut down recently, but Microsoft is coming back in and starting the actual nuclear plant because they're going to use it for a data center. So there's a lot of talks, and if you haven't If you haven't heard about or see AI in the news all the time, you must be living in a hole at this point. But so those are a few topics. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Anybody can kind of come up on the net and kind of see like where we're at today and just and what you feel where we're going from here over like the next 10, 50 years. So I'll leave it open if anybody wants to hop up.
Now maybe I start. It will be very hard to predict when it will be like in the next 10 or 15 years from now, because if you go back in the time and to where was the AI 10 or 15 years ago, it was like very small in it, and almost nothing was happening on the AI sector. Just the like OpenAI and Anthropic just rise like 5 6 years ago, and just check, look how big progress they are doing, like, and I, it's hard to imagine when it will be in the next 10 or 15 years. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. If you're using the X or the older social media, you can see all those agents running the posts and everything. Like, it's crazy what is happening right now with the AI. And I think that should be going in the kind of different way, but it's just the very very young sector, and it's just need a time.
Yeah, it's wild. Me personally, I think the one thing that I'm obviously I'm a parent and I'm concerned like what just normal interaction looks like over the next 10 years. Like we already know there's rampant bots everywhere. That's something like I think about all the time, which is wild. Jordan, obviously the project that you founded is centered around AI. And I know since you started off in the sector, a lot of things have changed and are changing rapidly. So, what are your thoughts?
Oh, oh, I have a lot of thoughts. And sorry, I kind of am getting over a cold this past week. I'm feeling great now, but my voice still doesn't
Ah,
sound
no worries.
wonderful. Um, um, I see kind of a progress that AI, like you were saying, Will, progress that AI has gone through, and from just kind of ML to generative models to like um, to these agents, and I kind of wonder where it's headed as far as the ultimate. And it seems pretty obvious that it's building a model of us, right? So that's what's happening. Like when you mentioned Humble Miner about the Facebook spying on all its employees to try to build a model that does their jobs. That's not just happening at Facebook. It's not a one-off. That's the thing that's happening like everywhere. Like it's building models of us. And this agentic phase that we're in, I think is a short phase, honestly. Like agents has been a big buzzword and like the big thing for a while, and we're building agentic systems, and it's a real thing. It's a real step in our progress, or whatever. But um, I don't think it's not like the big thing, like that's still coming, which is digital identities that are accurate to you, and so everybody's trying to do that. Every company's trying to do that to replace employees, to get there eventually. Um, every startup is trying to do that to build an agentic system that they can sell to a like an insurance company or whatever else to get rid of all their underwriters, or so we're trying to build copies of ourselves. And that's what I see ultimately happening right now, constantly and forever. And so I don't know if that kind of, you know, I don't follow the news and all the details as much, like that Facebook thing. I didn't even know about, right? Um, but I only look at the big picture because I don't really have the bandwidth
I
to
know.
look at all the
It's
details.
just constant. Every day is I mean, you can see it if anybody follows like stock markets, just every single day, soon as Anthropic pops up, and or any of these companies that are like really pushing like application and real AI use, companies are being just clobbered left and right, whether it's uh I mean, what was it? My so my for one like real world example, my wife got some just some headshots done for business, and there's an AI application that you can literally take a photo on your phone and upload it, and boom, it's professionally done. And she did it just as a just to see, because she did hire a company to do it. And when she got the actual like headshot back from the one that was made professionally, the one made by AI was almost, I mean, it was very close to what she paid for. Uh and that was just part of like a monthly subscription for what she has as part of her like AI package that she has. It's just wild.
I tried one of those 2 years ago, and it was kind of the uncanny valley, you know. And so I got headshots back that were, gave me 15 more pounds, didn't quite look like me. It was kind of gross. But but now I'm sure it's pretty much
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it's like like if you look back at the one video of Will Smith where he's eating spaghetti, like, and you look at the progress of AI over time. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely wild to see where we're at today, and it opens up a lot of opportunities. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, and I don't know. Chris, I see you wanted to pop up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say from like the exchange perspective, I mean, every day there's new exploits on DeFi and projects getting exploited, and I found myself almost monitoring all of our listed projects constantly, hoping nothing happens to them. But if an exploit comes up, with the help of AI, the advancements there, it's the just the overall security of everything is up in the air now too with that.
Yeah, is that like with obviously like you're part of of an exchange, and obviously that's a big deal for you guys. Obviously you're you got to watch out for your users. Um is like Cloudflare or any of those services like keeping up with everything that's going on? I know that I think I forget which company it was that just got just decimated. Their stock dropped, I think, 50% because basically everything that they did for ransomware and basically malware blocking just got wiped out by one. I forget. Anthropic released it. Um, is that something that obviously I would hope that they're really trying to stay ahead of?
Yeah, so far there hasn't been any issues with that. We have actually had a couple people claim to have found issues on the website, but after our devs dig into it, it's all AI generated slop that they're just trying to get get some kind of a bounty for. But so far, there's been no issues there, and we're very big on security. That we keep most funds in cold storage, and it's something we pride ourselves in. So we take every step possible to have that gap between a potential exploit.
That's good.
Yeah, and even if you can like protect yourself over the exploit, you still have the that the people probably start to bank run. And like this happened like week ago in the biggest exchange in Poland, zonda.com. It's just shut down because the people start getting the transfer, the withdraw the money from the exchange, because someone posts that there's no money on the exchange, even if they have the cold wallets. The exchange is closed now. It was the biggest in Poland. So yeah.
It is wild. What another thing, like the one thing that I'm like my wife and I have been talking about is just like what how do we prepare our children, like this next generation? of like to make sure that they have jobs, and that's something like obviously I don't have an answer for today. Um, it's every day. It's just fast paced. It's like the S curve. It's wild. So I don't know. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah,
What did you want to talk about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree with you there. Humble. I have young kids too, and what is the landscape going to look like in 15 years when they're out of college, or if they even can go to college? If there's going to be jobs for them, it's frightening.
Yeah, it's definitely made a big turn from like my from the last, I don't know, the last this last few generations. Like the big push was college again, and now it's hard labor job, and then everybody's going to jump the ship from out of the colleges that you don't need a degree, because the only people that have a safe job are the ones that are building, um, or like doing plumbing. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be definitely going to be interesting. Jordan, I saw you were starting to come up. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to say that basically the same thing. The hard labor jobs, the skilled trades, um, anything that could be done by a robot is going to take longer. I don't know how much longer, though, you know. So I got little kids too, and so I don't know when things are going to materialize for them, but it's hard to predict. I thought maybe my kids won't ever even drive, self-driving cars, but um, now I'm thinking, well, I don't see that happening where every car is going to be self-driving or they're going to have that kind of access. So it is really hard to predict these. It could take a while for things to pan out.
So I wanted to do. So obviously, each of us are kind of our from our own projects, and I kind of wanted to just go around the room and see. Like Chris, are you guys using AI at all, and or are you guys thinking about using it for your project? Obviously, there's like we were talking about like the malware and everything. And one benefit I know that we've utilized before is like trying to proof our own project to make sure that it's solid and has a good foundation. But is there anything that Safe Trade is using now or going to be using?
We're not using anything on the exchange itself. I use it personally during the day for research, researching projects, kind of trying to find things like that. But integrated into the exchange itself, no. Um, I have been looking at using it in the support side, just creating like an agent to help with tickets, or even just like a live chat agent, something like that.
Awesome. How about you, Steph, and your chain? And I know you can. And actually, if you want to kind of do a quick just synopsis about your project, I think that's interesting too, because I know it's like somewhat it's very bare bones from my understanding.
Yes, yes. Well, how to explain it? My concrete proof, it's a 664 chain, and another chain I'm working on was built with Claude 4.6. It takes me a lot of time. It was very hard for me, but hopefully I have 30 years in IT, banking, to IT director industry. This is what made it that possible. What is clear for me, it's the artificial intelligence did not replace the experience; it just amplified it. And this is very important because today we see a lot of projects with the vibe coding coming very strong to us, but lots of these projects have no real content and they have a lot of no quality. So this is why, from my perspective, you can work a lot with artificial intelligence and do great things, but if you don't have the experience, you cannot do real great things. I hope you understand me.
Yeah, yeah, all good. Um, and Jordan, obviously, like the project that you founded is kind of the cornerstone is AI, and that is the project. Do you just want to kind of do a synopsis of what Satori is for the people that don't know what it is, and kind of what it's bringing to the table as far as AI?
Oh, sure. And to echo Steph, I mean, that's absolutely right. It took me over 2 years to write the original version of Satori myself. Um, and some of that was very much more than full time. So, um, and then when we started using um, generative models and using AI to help us augment the code and everything, we were able to basically recreate it from the ground up almost in, I don't know, 4 months or something, like 2 months. So it was a lot faster, and we have more functionality now, and we're cruising at a much faster rate. So um, so yeah, you have to know what you're doing. At least at this point, still with AI, you have to have that expertise. But if you do, you can really cruise, you know. Um, so you said maybe a basic overview of Satori. Satori is a network of AIs that are talking about the future. In fact, it's really just we're engineering a conversation about the future, is what Satori is. And so, and when I say engineering, we're engineering the foundation to make that conversation possible. So um, we have a network of AIs that are all looking at stuff in the real world and predicting that stuff. They build local models. They predict the future of whatever they're looking at. And then they can broadcast those predictions out for all the other AIs to see, to listen to, and to then leverage in order to make better predictions on whatever they're looking at. And so that's how Satori basically works. And we just recently added the messaging layer that allows it to be very, very open and decentralized, and very it allows for kind of an open decentralized marketplace. You know, that would have been too hard to build in kind of the framework we had before, but now um, we've got that messaging layer in place. That's the Nostr messaging layer. So did you want any detail about something in that?
No, I mean, I think that's good. Unless you wanted to dive a little deeper, I think it's good just uh, to kind of give everybody an overview of what Satori is and how the project is actually integrating AI. So that's great.
Yeah, integrating AI. We started out with the ML, you know, especially way back when I created the initial version. We had ML algorithms, right, that are building these temporal time series models, and um, but we've built out and we're continuing to build out the engine platform where we can put in any kind of model. So any kind of AI, whether it's, you know, they've done a lot with language, and you know, it's called large language models, language and transformers. But um, there's no reason that you can't do it with everything. You know, they've made images, they've made videos. You can apply the same kind of technology to time series data too. It's just a little bit different. And so we're going to be exploring that eventually. Um, but right now, the the engine kind of works off the ML models still, and basically creating time series models of the future.
All right, thanks. Luke, I see you. I'm gonna bring you up in a second. I know you've been hanging out there for a little bit. All right, I got you up if you wanna come up and chat. Yep. Yeah, I got you.
Oh, great. So this is my first time joining one of these crypto spaces, or I'm sorry, the X spaces. So figuring out the controls. But anyway, I'm the founder of Manticore Technology. So if you haven't heard of us, we're just really excited for both Satori and also the Evrmore blockchain project. We've been following it closely. Um, we believe in both of those projects. So what you guys are doing is great work and keep it up. And here at, well, first of all, I work in mission critical systems, so real-time systems engineering. And so with work A, actually, we've had to actually take a step back and scale back where we're deploying our AI agents everywhere, and it hasn't been giving us the benefit that a real systems engineer can bring to the table. So actually, with a lot of the work that I do and the job that I work on, AI isn't something that's we see will replace the engineer in the future. So to give you guys a little bit of comfort, if you're a software
Well,
engineer,
that's
um,
good news for some people.
um, so there's that aspect. Um, I've also done a lot of work with um, natural language processing in the past, so I've seen those legacy systems before the whole transformer LLM model that kind of took over the mainstream, your ChatGPTs, your Anthropics, and all of that. But there are a plethora of other models, right? And different architectures and ways to implement natural language processing. And I don't see any reason why the transformer will be the one that brings us to AGI, which is all the hype. So I think it's worth taking going back to 2000 pre 2017 and looking at all those architectures that have been investigated by research institutions and companies and whatnot, and seeing what gives you the best benefit for what task you're trying to accomplish. So really it's a targeted approach in my opinion. And so why am I interested in the future of AI and crypto is I believe that AI systems are, so we're in the current agentic phase, right? Before that was RAG, retrieval augmented generation. That was kind of the precursor to agentic AI, and now we are in the agentic AI, and I hate labels. So I'm sure there'll be a new label tomorrow, and I don't know what's after agentic, but something, I guess, some insights that we found at Manticore Technology is we believe that the AI systems are going to become more economic agents. So now they're not just generating content using tools, calling APIs, but they're actually owning assets and executing strategies and interacting with markets themselves. So what we're building at Manticore Technology closely aligns with that vision. We're building the back end infrastructure for the economic agent economy, I guess you can say. And I believe that both Satori and Evermore are positioned greatly to benefit from this sort of future. So you can think of a real economic system with AIs where the AIs have identity, property rights, and a native way to transact. And that's exactly what we're building. So thank you for letting me come off. I've been just wanted to put a voice to my name. And yeah, I'm Lucas. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for popping up here. I appreciate it. And obviously, I've seen a lot of the stuff that you've been doing. It's really cool. And yeah, we'll definitely continue to follow you. And yeah, if you ever see the space, like feel free to pop in. For sure. Thanks. Hans, I know you dropped off for a little bit. If you want to come up on the net, we were still on kind of the future of AI and where each of us kind of sees it over the next couple years, if you want, or and also we were talking about related to our own projects, how it's integrated, if you're using it. So I'll throw it back to you, Hans.
Yeah, okay. Well, just generally, obviously, we've seen a tremendous amount of activity in the recent months on the AI front, and what I'm finding most fascinating is the impact it's having on us on the programming space. I mean, I agree that AGI, is a long ways off, and there are a lot of challenges left. In particular, how we use AI, what the economic models are going to be, and whether they make sense, and and the security aspects, which AI is really throwing a wrench into a lot of the security models that enterprises in particular have implemented just don't work in the new world AI world. But as for today's impact, I think probably nothing is more impactful than what's going on with Claude Code and Cursor. Those two tools alone are revolutionizing software development to the point where a good programmer's output can 10x easily, and it really changes things. And so I think we're going to see all sorts of side effects of that. I mean, we've all heard about vibe coding, and I'm not that excited about that. I mean, it is kind of cool for a non-programmer to be able to describe a program and have it automatically coded. I'm not crazy about that, because I think good software still needs to be verified. It needs to be architected well to get security, scalability, and all those sorts of things. But for a good programmer to be able to use that to up his output by 10x makes a huge difference. And it also means some important things in terms of open software versus proprietary software. I mean, basically, the future of proprietary software is dead. I used to joke that if you could read assembly language well enough, then also all software is open source. But that kind of becomes true with LLMs, that they could read assembly language just as well as they can read source code, and so reverse engineering software and being able to recode an equivalent program with the same functionality, is going to get automated pretty soon. And it's also having a huge impact in software auditing and bug finding. I mean, the national database, the national organization that's responsible for CVEs, tracking vulnerabilities and verifying them and documenting them, has basically, in the last couple of weeks, said that they're not accepting any more submissions because they're behind to the point where they will never catch up. And that's because people are using AI to scan software and find bugs in software that's been out there for decades. So all these sorts of things are having incredible impacts. So, and I think, we can't just put our heads in the sand. I mean, we have to take advantage of these tools, and we have to take advantage of the benefits, and we have to prepare for the negatives.
Yeah, that's a lot of good points.
That's kind of my overview of AI, of how I see AI at the moment.
Yeah, that's great, and you brought up a lot of really good points, and if we had more time, we could unpack some of those things. But yeah, I appreciate it, and thanks. I'm glad you were able to get back up and get your computer worked out. So thanks. All right, so we can kind of drive into. We kind of hinted at it a little bit, but obviously the next topic and part of the big the second part of the space is where crypto is headed. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the crypto space, not kind of aside from AI. Obviously, there's a lot of talks and institutional adoption. I mean, we've been talking about this for years, but obviously, a lot of things are really starting to gain traction. Um, there's a lot of regulation that's starting to shape what the market looks like. Obviously, where you live in the world is different, and how it's as far as like some are much more lenient than others. Some not so much, but and obviously there's a lot of talks now with quantum resistance. I know I just saw Tron Black posted that there was possibly I think a pull request for an update for the Ravencoin blockchain that would make it quantum resistant. I know that's one of the big talks, and other things. The big talks and headlines right now is the use of stable coins and global payments. Um, and obviously, there's a lot of news around like BlackRock, institutional investing, and uh, and obviously there's in general the continued debate on crypto's role in finance across the board. So obviously, this is second big part of the topic that we wanted to cover today. So I'm gonna throw it around the room, and I see also Digital Gold podcast. You are out there, so I know that you've done a lot of good stuff, and I know that your project kind of centers around all this. So I'll bring you up on the stage if you wanna take some time and talk about what your project is, but also I know you've got a lot of the latest and greatest in your corner. So if anybody wants to hop up, I will. It's a open mic. You should be good.
Hey there.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having the space today. So, a couple things. Obviously, I think that people should be trying to throw on a white hat and try and find exploits in your native coins using AI because, of course, the black hats will. That's an obvious one. But one of the roles that AI has with what we're doing at Digital Gold Foundation is trying to figure out the fair value for coins. And we've got a Senate Bill 1649 that addresses when the treasuries don't buy with taxpayer money, but when they inherit it and there's no next of kin or there's been a drug bust or some seizure. And the treasury now has crypto on its books, but it doesn't know what it's worth. And so we're trying to put together a way to understand value. And without AI, it would have been impossible. We've spent almost 18 months now using AI to go and look at what is the total amount. Well, first of all, how would you look at the value of a cryptocurrency? We looked at needing a benchmark. And so we used the benchmark as an anchor that you can compare to of Bitcoin in December of 24 when it hit 100 grand and it was worth $2 trillion. What was under that? Why was it worth that much? If the savviest hedge funds in that, BlackRock and Goldman and the rest, say to their clients, this is a great value here. Okay, well then let's just say they're the savviest investors. They know better than the rest of us. Let's just say that that's right. What's under it? And so we using AI came up with a model that says adoption. They had about 80 million users then. Transactions, they had about 6 billion. Transaction value, they had about 13.5 trillion in transaction value. Developer ecosystem, they have about 900 people. And I could go deeper into why each of those metrics were the metrics that we think are the most important, salient that we should be looking at. I won't. I've got a 1,200 page book that I just finished that'll be on Amazon this week. You can go look at there to figure it out. But and I'll have a shorter book too, 350 for fund managers and that. But then even Bitcoin has to go up against that standard. And so if Bitcoin wants to go to 200 grand, that's great. But we think they need, approximately, and it's weighted, but 160 million users, 12 billion transactions, 27 trillion in transaction value, 1,800 developers. They don't just get it for free. And likewise, if they fell to 40 million users, 3 billion, et cetera, they should be worth half or less because you don't want to try and grab a falling knife. But then you can take a look at any other coin in the market that's a layer one coin that has the same attributes as Bitcoin, meaning that it has a decentralized wallet node system with a native coin and a ledger that allows you to transact back and forth, forgetting about every other utility that a coin might have, from privacy to whatever. All of these coins share that. And then you could say, well, those utilities are what's going to drive people towards more adoption, more transaction value, et cetera. And then it raises that value. So without AI, it would have been impossible for us to try and pull together all that data. Now, we're talking to legislators in every state and having them join the foundation as a self-regulating organization that will demand that centralized exchanges show us their Merkle tree. So we don't have to use AI to guess. We can just use AI to pull how many users of each coin, because adoption is paramount to this metric, but also that we want legislation saying they can't have wash trades. That's illegal with equities. It should be illegal with crypto. And we should be able to use AI to pull their audits and put this data together to say, you didn't create 2 billion in fake trades. Those were all real trades. They weren't just passing USDC and some coin back and forth 1 million times on the exchange to create fake volume. Because then if we have true adoption for Merkle trees, and if we have true transaction value because there are no wash trades allowed, then, and the easy way to do that, by the way, is just pass legislation that we will block your IP address in any state that it takes on these laws. We will block your IP address if you don't show us real-time audits. That, and if you're not cheating, you've got nothing to fear. Show us your numbers. So all of this just to say that without AI, I couldn't personally have figured out what the metrics should be and tested against them, historical numbers of Bitcoin and that. Without AI, I couldn't possibly be pulling things in real time to try and figure out what's the real-time value of a layer 1 coin. And if I hadn't had those things, we couldn't have gotten to the point of legislation like Senate Bill 1649 in Arizona, and model legislation that we'll have across the entire nation. So I'm really excited about AI and what it allows us to look at and do that we weren't able to do prior to it. And I think, again, my biggest concern right now is that we're raising, first of 3 coin funds that will ultimately raise 21 billion and invest in what we think are dramatically undervalued coins, L1 coins. But my biggest fear is that we create this fund, we put, the first 800 million into these 12 coins we've identified, and then they get hit, not quantum, they get exploited because AI runs through their code, finds exploits, and destroys the value of the coin. And meanwhile, my investors are sitting on these coins. So I really hope going forward that people will use AI in a white hat fashion to hit their own code and try and find those problems and then repair those problems. Quantum to me is a ways away, but exploits could happen tomorrow. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I appreciate you coming up and taking the time to be with us. Appreciate it.
Right on.
Yeah, it's and if anybody doesn't think that that's happening right now, like people, I mean, people, that's their job. They're trying to find exploits. It's definitely happening now. Yeah, I appreciate that. Great points. Uh, Anybody else want to hop up and talk where crypto is headed? Obviously, Chris, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. You obviously have a vested interest since you're part of Safe Trade. Where do you think it is? Is it going to get easier as far as regulation in the next couple years? What are you seeing in your lane?
That was just want to say digital gold. That was well put. Everything you said, spot on. But regulations, it's getting harder specifically for us to be non KYC. We've had to relocate where everything's hosted a couple times now. There's still some good locations out there around the world that allow for it, and we have a good legal team that helps out too. But yeah, regulations, specifically KYC, it's going to be coming hard over the next couple of years. I think there's going to be a big market for digital identities, on-chain identities, specifically like backed by ZK, probably where you can self-host it, but it'll be accessible on chain. There's a couple projects out there that are developing it right now where it's not visible on chain, but you can access it to the point of regulation where you need to, if you need to expose the KYC to a certain entity, you can allow it. I can't remember the names of the projects right now offhand, but yeah, I think regulation's going to come down pretty hard in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sorry. Chris, when you say regulation, do you mean specifically about that identity kind of regulation? Because we've seen kind of attempts at regulation in kind of the financial space of crypto for a while, but does that make sense? Like I see less and less of that lately, and but you're speaking more specifically about identity, it seems like. So I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, I'm coming more from the exchange side of things, not specifically crypto in whole. We can see it. I mean, Europe is usually the forefront of that, where they're blocking certain USDT wallets and things like that.
I get it. I get it. So from the exchange perspective, got it.
Steph, if you want to come up, I know your chain is obviously it's definitely taken a different approach than most projects. If you kind of want to talk about your crypto project and kind of what the reason was behind the way that it's designed.
Well, honestly, the first reason was just like a personal challenge. I started with building mining pools after I started building some miners for some projects. And after I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm able to build a blockchain. And I was digging on the subject, and I found interesting the idea of a privacy crane with a retro look C64 computer because it was my first computer, and I have a lot of nostalgia about it. And well, I was coding with the help of Claude, making tests, and all was going very very well for me. And I started to launch officially the project, and now we are running since like around 3 months. We have no problems at all. No chain resets, no complaints from customer. We got some exchanges already. All is going very very well for the project, and I decided also to take the same base because it's a fork of Monero. Well, it's a fork of World forked from Monero. So I decided to go one step later with another project, the big sister of C64 chain, and now I'm working on a project. It's mainly a fusion between the DeFi and the consensus blockchain. It's to put an economic market stored on the consensus of the blockchain. I don't know if you if you understand me, but this is what I'm working on right now. And well, another point you said before, for example, on quantum, regarding to quantum risk, I think the solution already exists. We have Dilithium 3, Kyber 768, and they are standard. They tested, they work. On the new blockchain I'm working on, it's already implemented. It's a lot of work, but technically the problem is solved. And what I think the other big change was coming for the next months is a story about the X402 protocol. The idea is the agent payment protocol from Coinbase and Cloudflare, where artificial agents uh, paying each other in stable coins with machine-to-machine commerce with no humans in the loop. And I think this will be is the next big challenge in this industry. That's all. I don't
Thanks.
know if
Yeah,
you have some
that's a lot of
questions.
good points. Yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah,
kind of talked through your chain. I thought it was really interesting that you went back to basic hardware. It's
yes,
good stuff. That's cool. Yeah, and
yes,
a
yes.
lot of
But
good points.
mainly the big difference of C64 chain versus all the others, it's unique vesting system, because we've seen some projects putting some vesting on the coins, but like 1 year to 4 years vesting, and this is not this. a good idea to have a vesting for so long time. So in C64 chain, to support the price when the project is listed on an exchange, we decided to put a vesting plan, but it's from 1 month to 4 months. So it's only to support the price, but not to it's not to scary the people who can think, okay, I can mine, but my coins will be unavailable for 1 to 3 years. No, it's not like this. That's all.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Hans, I'm going to throw it over to you. Obviously, you're the creator, founder of Evrmore Chain, and obviously, updates and all the latest and greatest is something that you have to take into consideration for continuing development on the Evrmore Chain, which we, Satori Project, obviously have a vested interest in because Satori's built on Evrmore. So, what are you seeing, and where do you see Evermore upgrades over this next year? And obviously, what are you guys taking advantage of on that chain compared to other projects right now that are kind of still in the dust and happy where they're at?
Well, I think that probably the two areas that are developing that are most interesting are one, blockchain-based commerce, and the other is agentic uses for blockchain. When I say blockchain-based commerce, I mean basically using blockchain for financial purposes, but not what most people think in the way of typical exchanges. We've of course had exchanges for tokens and coins for a long time, and most of that activity is really being used by traders or people in the financial space occupationally. But we're seeing more and more interest in people being able to exchange value on social media platforms, both for convenience and also for efficiency and low cost when it involves international participants. At the simplest level, it's of course we've seen things like Venmo being used and PayPal being used for a long time. The folks over at Nostr had been experimenting with sending Lightning payments to each other, both for Zaps, which is basically the equivalent of tipping or liking on legacy social media systems, but they're also for buying goods. In the long run, I think they're looking to mimic some of the activity that's happened in mainland China, where basically the social media apps are also the primary way that people use digital wallets. And I think that that activity is going to continue and go even further. I know that X, for instance, has been Elon's been talking about bringing up X money pretty soon, which will facilitate the exchange of value in exchange for services and goods. But blockchain enables another level of that, right? Because you can exchange not only Bitcoin in the form of Lightning or dollars in the form of Venmos, but you could exchange tokens, which could be coupons, could be tickets, could be subscriptions. They could be shares of large or small companies, but they don't have to be. They can be lots of other things, and so that has huge potential. In that case, the users are not your typical exchange customers. They're common people who are using social media and can exchange things and buy things. And of course, the potential buy-in there is huge. So that's one area that I think is really interesting, and that I have particular interest in. We definitely will be moving in that sense in terms of publishing some utilities to exchange on ever more on-chain assets atomically for Lightning, and then some infrastructure around that, in particular a layer 2 on top of Evrmore that makes that easy to do. For a lot of that stuff, you don't need a lot of confirmation, so you can put together an order book that's run via peer-to-peer network as a L2 on top of Evrmore, and some of those transactions can even be zero confirmation transactions. You don't have to wait for lots of confirmations. But of course, the blockchain eventually holds the final value of all those trades, and they increase in security as time goes on. And then I'll just touch briefly on the second topic, which is AI use. And there, I think I expect AI to use blockchain primarily for two things. One is, again, financial related, that if the AI economy is going to grow the way people are talking about it, and especially the agentic economy, there has to be a way for agents to pay for each other. And there is a couple of standards which have been mentioned, the X402 and the P2A, which are gaining ground. And both of them fundamentally require blockchain as a layer for agents to pay each other. And that's those sorts of economic models are absolutely necessity for that portion of AI to become reality, because there has to be a solid economics behind it. And then the second major application for AI on blockchains, I think, will be tracking of identity, knowing who these agents are and maybe who they're connected to in terms of real person, so that they can have the authority to do the things they want to do. So that's kind of my view of.
Awesome. Thanks, Hans. And you were talking about the marketplaces. I'm going to throw it back over to Will or Jordan, whoever wants to talk about it. But Satori's obviously been hinting a big update coming up, talking marketplaces. So if you guys want to talk about that, I think that's a good segue.
Will, do you want to give maybe like an overview or anything, and then maybe I can go into the details?
Yeah, you can go to the details. Yeah, we will be releasing new version of Satori 3.0 tomorrow, and everyone is waiting for it. We do some kind of rumors about this, how that will be works, or what will be included on that one. Basically, it will be marketplace, and the nodes is already included on the new Satori version. But yeah, Jordan, you can explain all the technical about the marketplace, what will be have on that 3.0 version.
So we've talked a few times, mentioned it, various people have mentioned it a few times here, that AI and crypto is merging, in the sense that AI wants to use crypto instead of fiat, of course, to exchange value. And this is inevitable, and it's right at our doorstep. And so we've built, and then Hans, what you were saying about kind of these social media, Nostr is kind of an underlying network that actually powers some open source kind of social media platforms too. So being on Evrmore and utilizing Nostr, we've built out this messaging platform. It's not just to send data. We integrated it with P2SH on Evrmore, so that we can also send value. So we can send value through the Nostr network by creating a signed transaction, sending it, and it's immediate. It's immediate value that the other person and the other side knows that they've received, that they can claim on chain at any time, and it's there for them. And so this automated, we basically have an automated payment system for AI, for agentic systems that want to use predictive predictions, right? So what we call that is the data stream marketplace and the prediction marketplace. And this comes out in two basic layers. So we got onto Nostr, we can now send data. Then we integrated this payment system. We can now charge for that data and say, hey, look, I will generate a data stream. Maybe it's a real world data stream, or maybe it's a prediction data stream on a real world data stream, doesn't matter. And I will charge for this. And AIs, they don't want to, we humans, we have to simplify everything down. And so we like to do a monthly subscription if we want something. I'll give you some money once a month. But AIs can give you money every time they get something, especially if there's no transaction fee. And so we've built out this transaction fee-less micropayment system where they can give you value in return for data instantly. And so the way it actually works is that if you say, okay, yeah, I'd like to subscribe to your paid data stream here, what's the cost per observation, whether that observation is happening once every 10 minutes or once a day or once a minute, I mean, it doesn't matter. And so you find out how much is that going to cost. This is all done behind the scenes. And then you get an observation and you pay for that observation in return. And that payment tells the seller, hey, I received a payment from somebody who wanted to subscribe. So I'm going to mark them as active and I'm going to continue to send them payments. And every time so anyway, it triggers the next observation for you. You get to receive it. So that's the data stream marketplace. And then on top of that, we can also build, or we have built, but I don't think we're releasing it tomorrow, the prediction marketplace, which is I want to host a competition of predictors on a data stream. So I want to say, okay, this data stream, maybe it's the price of gold or something. I want to know what the price of gold is going to be tomorrow. And I don't want the predictors just to tell me. Satori's by default open and it's going to just broadcast, the truth out that it can find. But if you want to buy it, you can say, hey, just predictors, I'm hosting a competition on this. Why don't you predict it and send me the results? And that's really good. I mean, I used gold as an example. That's public data, but it's probably more often going to be used for something like private data. Like I'm a company, I want predictors to come in and predict my quarterly sales or my daily sales tomorrow, And so everything's getting shorter and shorter in time scales, micropayments, so on and so forth. And that's kind of what I see. And that's what Evrmore and this Nostr combined kind of facilitate for Satori.
Awesome. Thanks for covering that. I appreciate it. And if anybody wants to hop up, feel free to. But what I was going to kind of drive into next is we started mentioning a few points here and there is kind of the next wave of technology. A lot of like the talking points you see across social media and the news right now. It's just like AI, robotics integration, um, like edge computing, real time data processing. We talked about the quantum computing potential. Obviously, what we all see, like the Terminator scene, is human AI collaboration, and then obviously we're talking about it already. Is just the convergence of just technology, so AI and blockchain. Um, Obviously, like companies like Tesla are really pushing like humanoid robotics. Um, I mean, a lot of like consumer devices now. Like, I mean, even you can get like smart fridges for God's sakes. Like, it's absolutely wild. But obviously, like there's a lot of AI integration in there. Um, and then also like digital gold, kind of mentioned it earlier, but like just there's obviously a huge increase in the investment opportunity. Within AI, but also just all these different investment vehicles, so whether it's crypto or whatever. Um, so if anybody wants to come up on the net and kind of talk about like the next wave of technology and what you've seen and or any concerns, also like positivity, also, I think sometimes we go down the rabbit hole, like it's not all necessarily bad as far as AI for sure. Like Terminator is not going to happen tomorrow. So I'll throw the mic open, and if anybody wants to hop up on the net.
So maybe I start here. So we was talking about the future of the AI, where the AI will be in the next 10, 15 years. But the second question should be where we will be see the crypto in the next 10, 15 years. Because if the AI will be growing like it's growing like now, and it's growing really fast, um, the crypto could be followed. But what I think it will be like kind of merge in the one technology, and the AI will be like kind of top of the crypto, and the crypto will be like transport layer for the AI, and that would be one, because the AI will be not exist without the crypto, and the crypto will be blockchain will be sorry not the crypto blockchain will be not exist without the AI in the future, and that's for sure. And all the big companies like say the Nvidia or ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Anthropic, they own AI now, and the normal people don't have any access or power to run the powerful AI or using them. We just pay subscription to have small portion of that, and that must be changed. Like the blockchain was made for the ordinary people to fight with the banks, and now we actually going more centralized with AI, and that's where like project Satori can have a place.
I think I don't know if anybody else has seen this, which has been really interesting to watch it development. Is the one agent? It's like what is it? Lobster. Someone help me out. I can't remember exactly the term for it.
Open
But
claw.
yes, OpenClaw. Uh, they basically created all of these agents, and it's almost like a mini workplace. And they've actually like built it into a platform that you can watch it in real time. The agents working together, almost like in an office. And then on top of that is also layering what we've been talking about, like all these micropayments for them to do something. And there was also uh, I can't remember who or what service was doing it, but basically, obviously, agents can't go out in the real world. They can't move a box or do whatever. But agents were part of this organization were actually posting jobs for real humans to be able to go out and do, and the humans were actually able to get paid for doing the jobs that agents were actually setting for them and posting to be able to do, which is absolutely wild. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm guaranteed, like that's going to be we'll start to see that actually in many more use cases.
Oh yeah, sure. I will see a lot like someone create like kind of social media Facebook for the agents, and that was crazy. Like they talk each other about.
One topic that we haven't really talked about, but we've kind of skirted on a little bit, and when we've talked about edge versus centralization and some of the security issues, something that's going to be, I think, fundamentally changing the way computation is going to be done in the future, and that is the development of confidential computing. It's got just to kind of talk about that a little bit, most people are familiar with the traditional virtual machine model where basically you can run software inside a virtual machine, and that software could be malware, but you don't have to worry about it compromising the host OS, right? And that makes it, and that has made cloud computing possible, because otherwise, there needs to be a mechanism to make sure that people couldn't just upload malware and take over Amazon Web Services servers. And so virtual machines enable that, right? And there's lots of different ways people have solved that in terms of the details, whether it's a full virtual machine or whether it's a container like a Docker container or whatever. But the fundamental model is that the host OS is protected from guests, but the host OS can see everything going on in the guest. And that's becoming unacceptable, right? Because the more you run financial applications and blockchains and things that are irreversible in the cloud, having the cloud provider be able to see everything that's going on obviously can become an unacceptable risk, both for privacy and for financial implications. People, for instance, who are running Lightning nodes, on AWS, are taking their risks. They consider Amazon to be trustworthy in a general business sense, but Lightning nodes have to have hot wallets, and so there are people running Lightning nodes with $400 million Lightning wallets live on Amazon, and just trusting that Amazon or some employee is not going to take it. The Linux Foundation, just a few years ago, I guess 3 years ago, recognized some of the activity going on in that area and founded the Confidential Computing Consortium. And basically, the model there is the other way around, and there is that it affords all those things, and it also does what they call trusted execution environments that, along with attestation, so that it's got a secure boot chain going. You know exactly what hardware is there and what software it's running. But it's designed in such a way that the host OS can't see what's going on inside the container, and that protects the people who are running software in the container, but also means that the hosting becomes commoditized. You no longer have to worry about trusting the cloud provider, because the protection runs both ways, and that allows you to distribute cloud into a fog. And there are some very interesting blockchain projects like Thales Networks and Near AI that are doing just that. They're basically providing distributed cloud service via blockchain. So I just wanted to kind of bring up that topic.
Yeah, that's great. That's a lot of good points, and I feel like a lot of people just brush over at this point. They don't. I think that's the statistic that you were talking about, like the amount of money that's sitting out there in Amazon. That is that is scary. And like, what was it? A couple months ago, I mean, the whole East Coast of United States got wiped out on on their servers and taken down. So it's definitely a real threat. That is scary that people trust. Well, I think it's a lot of they don't know either. There's a lot of blind trust, I guess. All right. Well, I think we got through most of the topics. Is there anything that we did not cover that anybody wants to come up and kind of talk through or build upon what we've already talked about today? I'll give you guys a couple minutes think through, go through your notes. I know I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their weekend, and like I said earlier, if there's anybody that's out in hanging out, just listening to us, if you want to hop up and say your thoughts. Obviously, this is more so a free chat today rather than like a structured kind of 101 on our project particularly. So if anybody wants to hop up, just throw your hand up, and you can request to speak if you'd like. Lucas, yeah, you can hop up.
Hey, it was mentioned earlier when we talked about the quantum world as well, and how this may integrate with both AI and blockchain. And I'm just wondering, I had a direct, I guess, question for Hans and as well as the Satori Association people. What are the plans with post-quantum? Are you guys worried about, the store now, decrypt later attacks? And just what are your thoughts on that?
Jordan, you want to go first?
Store now, decrypt later. I haven't excuse me, sorry. I haven't looked too much into these protocols that allow you to switch out your what's it called? Your keys, key rotation. There's carry, there's a few others. I've looked into them briefly to see what they might hold, but that's part of, I think, one thing that we're going to need for quantum resistance is, as soon as that comes online, if we don't have these systems already rotating our keys, then we're going to be in trouble. So, but I think quantum threat is still far enough away. The first project that needs to deal with that is Bitcoin. Because it'll be the first one attacked, right? So, but I do anticipate getting more educated into that kind of world of decentralized key rotation and how to manage that appropriately. I looked into it enough to have concerns with the current um, solutions that are proposed. So I was like, well, that's not a problem I'm going to solve or fully understand at this time. So I'm going to put that on the back burner. So, but yeah, I do see that as part of the solution. If there's anything that's going to be there permanently, well, I would say be careful about what you put on chain, because it will come to light someday, So anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I largely agree with what was just said. I do think that store now, decrypt later applies more to messaging type systems, where you're revealing data that you don't, in encrypted form, that you don't want revealed ever in the future. At least at this point, that doesn't really apply very much to Evrmore. Everything that's stored on the chain in general is in clear text. Now there are ways to encrypt, and so you have to be careful about how you encrypt. But fundamentally, the issue, even for that application, is you have to have access to the full public key, right? Not just an address. The whole idea of quantum computing and the threat of quantum computing is that you can go from a public key back to a private key, which instead of the normal way around, which is supposed to be impossible. But you certainly can't take an address on the blockchain and go back, because that's a hash of the public key, an encoded hash of the public key, and there's no way to reverse engineer a hash. I mean, even if you theoretically wanted to think about doing that, hashing is not a one-to-one map. It's a many-to-one map, and so there's no way you can ever reverse engineering a hash, even with quantum computing. So the only assets or coins that are at risk from quantum computing are those for which the public key has been revealed. Now, in Bitcoin, that's particularly relevant because pay to public key is available, as well as pay to public key hash. And in the original days, and when Satoshi did his transaction, he used pay to public key, not pay to public key hash. And so he inherently published his public keys. And so you've got all those OG coins on Bitcoin that have their public keys hash that potentially could be reversed with quantum. But on Evrmore, no one's ever done a pay to public key transaction that I know And they're all the hash. And so unless you're reusing addresses, you don't expose the public key and you're at no risk. Now, eventually, that said, you are going to want to improve the signature algorithms on Evrmore, as well as other blockchains. But as Jordan said, it's a much bigger problem for Bitcoin, and so I feel we really can afford to wait to see what Bitcoin does and what algorithms they adopt. There's no need for us to reinvent that wheel.
That makes a lot of sense. I agree with that. Definitely something to do with post-quantum crypto, obviously, and you can look at the NIST specifications and see what Bitcoin, I'm sure, is on that and gonna set the standard, and we'd follow suit. Something with crypto agility and polymorphic encryption. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
And even if you take that, like if the quantum computer could be cracked that system, and they will be able to get that private keys and get to the bitcoins or the OG bitcoins, like you say, Hans, who will be on that computer? It will be not like small hacker in the basement that will be steal all the coins that on those old wallets. It will be like all Google or some China government. That's it. It's not many places that they can run it.
All right. Is there any more questions? Well, I think we covered most of the topics today, unless I missed I skipped some stuff. But we can wait a couple more seconds, see if anybody wants to come up, and we can dive into a little more of what we covered today or something that we missed.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Go on.
Sorry.
Tyler.
Go ahead.
Go on.
There was something that we kind of went over a few times, or like mentioned, but didn't really. I don't know. I felt like there's this concept of identity that we've been circling around for several different reasons, of course, because it's related to crypto and value and AI and everything. But it seems to me like the big tech right now in AI and with the security question, especially with quantum and stuff, but before quantum comes to be a security threat, it's really just going to be an arms race with AI at some point, where the AI is going to say, "Hey, look, we can figure out what's secure way better and way faster than you humans can, and you can't keep up." And so at some point, it's going to be an arms race against AI versus AI for security purposes. And that's going to be a really weird situation to be in. But it seems to me like as far as this decentralization versus centralization with identity and putting identities on chain, that's a hard problem. Identifying a one-to-one match of people. That's something that I think we're eventually just, I don't know, we're gonna, well, here's what I see happening with big tech right now in AI. They're happy to sell you like the utility of the agentic convenience. They sell convenience, and it seems like they're buying identity for that convenience. They sell convenience, they buy identity, they buy attention, and they buy identity. And it seems like they're building models of us, of roles first, of roles, and then they're building models of us. Because the most convenient thing is an AI that can anticipate your every need before you even know that you have that need, right? So it can turn on the lights right before you walk in the room just because it knows where you're going. And so, but an AI like that needs to know everything about you. It needs your identity. It needs to be able to build a digital twin. It needs to be a digital twin of you. So I see that kind of happening in a centralized manner, in which, I mean, Google's been doing it. I mean, every company tries to build a model of their customers or potential customers so they can sell them stuff. That's fine. But it's going to amplify with AI. And so I do see kind of some kind of need for a decentralized, the conflict is that we as humans, we want that. We want the convenience of an AI that knows us internally, that knows everything, every single thing about us, and watches our every move. We want the convenience of that, of a second brain that we can just hand off tasks to and say, hey, and then before we even know it, the AI is like, hey, I think you might need this, and gives it to us straight up. So we want that, but we don't want it controlled by a central entity. So, what's the solution there? I mean, they're gonna approach that ability faster than the kind of decentralized community, but that doesn't mean that, and they're going to do it so that they can control what you desire and what you want and what you need. If they can anticipate it, they can also manipulate it. So anyway, I do see kind of the local, I don't think we've even touched very much on local AI, but I see that as being the need for local AI. We want local AI so that we can own the model of ourselves, if that makes any sense. And I don't know, I wanted to put that out there because we've circled identity a few times, and anyway, just an idea.
No, I think
that's really great.
I think that's really
agree.
important. I've actually put a lot of thought into that as well, because of work I do in the security and hardware space. And fundamentally, I think what you're talking about is the next generation surveillance economy. Right? The AI makes that so much worse, and so there has to be efforts to ameliorate that. And right now we're as far as the AI services, you're right. They're absolutely we're absolutely the worst case position, right? Where essentially everyone that's using any of the generative AI stuff is dealing with just two or three companies, two companies really that are serving everything remotely and can collect all the data they want. And there are some easy solutions to that problem that haven't even been implemented. Like for instance, if you start asking ChatGPT to do your taxes and it's got your name on it, you obviously don't want that published because it's identifiable. But and likewise with medical records, you don't want that published. But if you could ask questions anonymously, get an AI to help you give a second opinion on an X-ray, but not attached to your name, then you don't particularly care whether that X-ray gets released. Or if maybe you don't want it to, but if it did, it wouldn't have any real impact because it can't be attached to you. And so even just a service that offered ChatGPT as an anonymous proxy, in other words, they bought the service from Anthropic or OpenAI, I guess in that case, and then resold it anonymously, would already be a big improvement, right? So, I mean, there's a class of applications that you could do through an anonymizing proxy that would give security. Very simple solution for a subclass of problems. Now, there's other problems which are more complicated and need solutions, but fundamentally, to accomplish what you're talking about doing is you need a device that is in your possession, that is where all your personal information is stored, and it interacts with the AI providers, but it only releases enough information for each transaction as that remote provider needs to do its transaction. It's kind of the equivalent of when you go into a bar and someone asks you to, to prove that you're over the age of 21 to buy a drink, and you show them a driver's license, you're not just revealing your age, you're showing your address, you're showing a picture of you, lots of other information. What you really need is a mechanism to provide only a cryptographic proof that you are over the age of 21, for which there are zero knowledge mechanisms to do that sort of thing, and that needs to be built into the way AI is used.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all that zero knowledge proof, some of that's above my pay grade. But I would say I do see like an AI, like an AI twin economy coming after the agentic stuff, and you're right. Like the model is you own hardware for your primary core AI double, and what basically the model on your own hardware, essentially, of you. And then it would have to interact. It'd have to interact with the internet, with other AI models, with AI services. It would have to go out to interact there on your behalf. So you need like an AI sidekick or an AI shadow or something, a twin, essentially. So and it would have to be run local, and it would have to have your best interest at heart. If your twin is owned by a company, and you might have more convenience than you would have otherwise, but you if there's a conflict between your interests and the company's interests, it belongs to the company, so it's going to do whatever's there. So yeah. So I feel like there's a real need for that coming, and anyway, that's it.
Yeah, I would encourage people to start playing with, some of that emerging technology. I mean, very few people know that, for instance, that you can already get the advantages of the secure enclave confidential computing technology that I spoke about earlier via some online services that proxy to ChatGPT and some of the other AI models. For instance, there's some services out there called tinfoil.sh, which was started last year by a couple of MIT PhDs in cryptography, that basically let you access a remote AI through their service, and they provide a secure enclave so that the remote service provider cannot see what anything you're doing. There's another one that's blockchain based that's called Redpill. I think it's redpill.ai. Now, if you're using if you pick an open source model, then you have perfect security there, because they are basically hosting it in your container, which only you have access to. No one knows what the model is doing, and they can't see what you're doing with the model. If you use a proprietary AI model like GPT or from Anthropic or OpenAI, then the provider can't see what you're doing, but the model owner who's doing the final calculation still can. So there's lots of trade-offs, but I would encourage people to kind of start watching that space to see what develops and what they want to support.
You see, even now the people don't know that they can run the local AI on their own computers. Even have they're using GPT, like you say, for a simple task, and sending all the data, feeding the OpenAI with the data that the ChatGPT is learning about on that data and getting smart. And they're paying for it, and they basically can run like local AI and do exactly the same on the private mode.
Yeah, absolutely true. Although for the higher end models, like running Claude locally requires pretty powerful hardware.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody hopping in here. Is there any last comments before we kind of go around the room? We'll wrap this thing up. Okay. Steph, final plug before we wrap up.
Well, final plug, what to say. I think an important point, it's related to local IE. Most people just don't realize of far open sources come. For example, I run an 80 billion parameter model at home on 2 consumer GPUs, around 10 euros of electricity per year, and roughly the level of GPT-4o from 18 months ago. So um, every person has to think what hardware I have at home and what I can do with it, because I think most of us we are ready to run our own model locally. That's all.
Okay. And if anybody wants to learn more about the C64 chain, you can take a just click on if you're obviously listening to this via X, just click on his profile and follow that project there. Hans, final plug and where people can find more about Evrmore.
Yeah, we do maintain the website evrmore.com as well as evrmorecoin.org. Same, go to the same place that contains all the technical information you need about Evrmore. Not really so much a plug, just kind of a thank you to everyone who's been working on Evrmore for so long, and working on some of the issues and building the chain. I know, we've gone through ups and downs, and sometimes it's kind of frustrating that it takes so long to develop applications and move things forward. And everybody has setbacks. Every project has setbacks. But we're still going. I still think we're in the very early stages of tokenization, both in the traditional token trading sense as well as in the social economy. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming, and have high hopes that we will be able to use the AI tools to kind of speed up development and applications. So thanks for everyone who's been active.
Thanks, Hans. All right, Jordan, last plug.
SatoriNet.io. I mean, we're building Satori constantly, right? And so we're building on a lot of functionality and features, and the kind of things that I wanted to do in the beginning are finally coming to fruition now. And so yeah, we're doing great.
Okay, thanks, Jordan. And Will, final plug.
Yeah, so like it was glad to hear everyone here and all the conversation. I just want to mention that tomorrow is the big day for Satori, next big step, Satori 3.0. And yeah, see you there.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's space. Like I said, this is recorded. We'll have it in. Obviously, it'll be posted on X, and then we'll take these and then post it into the YouTube under the Satori Project channel. So if you want to learn more or get involved with some of these projects, obviously, take a look at all the speakers, follow them. Obviously, each of those projects have their own websites, their own Discords. For Satori in particular, you can go follow the Satori Association handle, and then it has all the links in the page if you want to learn more or run your own neuron, get started, where to find. Kind of the website is definitely a wealth of knowledge and everything that you want that you could and want to know about Satori. Big thank you to everybody that took the time to speak today, and thanks for everybody that actually came up and was volunteer speakers. So appreciate you all, and then obviously big thank you to everybody that is listening right now and listening in the future, and yeah, have a great rest of the weekend. And until next time, I will talk to you later. Thank you.